Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, the only channel that brings you your team every single day. And it is a channel that is run by the fans for you, the fan. We're not going to charge you for content. We believe in building a Glasgow Rangers Nation family, a family that shares its information, a family that shares everything. Like I said, we don't want to charge you for content. Yes, there is the membership scheme, and I get that's charging, but the daily content is there for you. It is free, and I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to go over to Patreon and start charging you money. This is here for you to bring you the latest daily news. And we'll have a members update video sharing with you who our members are very soon indeed. Some fantastic membership numbers so far for the channel. Anyway, why did you come here? You came here for Glasgow Rangers Nation news, didn't you? You came here for Glasgow Rangers news. That's what you wanted, and that's what you're going to get this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, depending, of course, when you are picking up this video on Saturday, the 8th of July. Well, we've got some news about Jose Cifuentes. Yes, the saga of Cifuentes. It's longer than Lord of the Rings, but it's happening, apparently. A bit of news on Alan McGregor's testimonial, a bit of news on what Barry Ferguson has had to say about James Tavernier and Saudi Arabia. That's just bits and pieces of news really that are going on around the club at this moment in time. Obviously, the big news that's dominated this week has been the arrival of Searle to add to all the other signings that Michael Beale has already made in his time as manager. A pretty impressive list there. Pretty impressive, and lots of young players as well. That's one thing I think. Lowering the average age of the squad and bringing down that average age to get young players who are here to be developed and to get better and have a hunger to play the game. Just a reminder as well, we dropped a video earlier on Friday about the players who need to move on. The fact that we do need to let players go. Our squad size now is 35, which shocked me. Definitely shocked me. 25 is what Michael Beale is aiming for. So, we're going to see, I think, 9, 10, 11 maybe go out over the next few weeks. Glenn Kamara, a lot of talk of Glenn Kamara going out. So let's start off by talking about Glenn, shall we? Glenn Kamara, who played a great role in the 55 title win, was a great part of the Europa League squad. Europa League run. He's never really lived up to it, has he, since then? He's had a very poor season, after that Viaplay League Cup final where he was very poor indeed. He didn't really get a look in, did he, after that? It was kind of, the end of his time. Yes, he came on a sub in a couple of games, and he had that game at against Hearts at Ibrox, like a farewell game, wasn't it, for him? That's what it was. But, certainly for me, I think that, he needs to go, and he needs to be got rid of this summer. Yes, he is still under contract for another couple of years, but at the end of the day, he needs to kind of get a fresh start, and we need to obviously get some funds in for him. That's an important thing as well. The more funds we get in, obviously enables us to spend money and bring in some more players for the squad. Now, the rumour was that the Besiktas were reportedly interested in getting him on loan. I find it highly dubious that Rangers will be looking to loan him out at this stage. Now reports are coming out of Turkey that they're prepared to offer £2.1 million for the services of Kamara. Now, Rangers have a price tag of between 5 and 6 million on Kamara at this moment in time. So I really do struggle to see how they would allow him to go for that small of a fee, unless obviously it was a structured fee that could rise afterwards. I certainly don't think they'll send him out on loan. I think they see Kamara has been a saleable asset. There has been obviously rumoured that English Premier League clubs are also interested in him. I've seen Southampton, Sheffield United both interested in him. Southampton, obviously, who were just relegated to the Championship, and Sheffield United, who were just promoted to the English Premier League. So certainly an interesting one, rising out of that story about Glenn Kamara. Now, I've just been reading a report that an organisation called Football Mercado, or Mercado Football. I think Mercado is market, and football obviously is fairly self-explanatory what football is. Apologies if you can hear my dog in the background. He shows now is the perfect time to start cleaning himself whilst I'm making a video. Yes. I do apologise if you can hear that in the background. Anyway, so Jose Cifuentes, the ongoing saga of this summer, the man who has been coming, then not coming, then we've all had the when will he come, when will he not come, will it happen? When will it not happen? But it appears now, according to Football Mercado or Mercado Football, I can't remember what it was now, the deal is imminent for Cifuentes. Rangers are rumoured to have paid £1 million release fee. That LAFC were looking for a small fee, obviously, to get him out of his contract. Yes, he will be free in December, but Rangers want him out of contract and across in Glasgow before January. They want him ready for the start of the season. Now, it appears that this deal is now imminent, according to that source. That is a source in Ecuador, his home country. Now, it was slightly cloudy the other day, wasn't it, when Cifuentes played for LAFC in the El Tráfico? That's the LA derby, the traffic derby, apparently. Yes, LA is traffic obsessed. I've got a friend who lives in LA, Mackenzie Miller, and she talks obviously about a lot about the traffic out there. It's absolutely mental, hence why it's called El Tráfico, their derby. But he played the other day for LAFC, coming on as a sub in the second half in LAFC's 2-1 defeat to the Galaxy. But it now looks like he will be making his way across the Atlantic and signing on the dotted line for Glasgow Rangers very soon indeed. And for me, it'd be a great signing for Rangers. This is a player that, a year or so ago was being talked of in the £15 million price bracket, was being talked of, as a possible signing for Arsenal, for Manchester United, for top teams. Manchester City also were interested in him as well. So there was a number of top Premier League teams who apparently were interested in signing Cifuentes. So this, I think, will be a great signing for Rangers, a real quality player coming in who will really add to our midfield and take us, I think, to a higher level. In terms of what he can do, he goes box to box. He has a keen eye for a pass, likes a tackle. So, great news that it seems that Cifuentes is on his way to the club. And you can imagine a midfield next year. And I think Rangers have got to get away from this two defensive midfielders in the SPL. Yes, there may be a need for it against that lot from across the city when you play at Parkhead. But, against the likes of Livingston and St Johnstone and so on, do you really need to have two holding midfield players? I would say not. And, you can have a situation where you've got Raskin, you've got Cantwell, you've got Cifuentes in there. I think that will be a very attacking, forward-thinking midfield, going forward. Even dropping Cantwell back a little bit from that number 10 role to perhaps accommodate the likes of Sam Lammers or even Tom Lawrence when he returns to full fitness. So very exciting times indeed. And like I said, it does look like he is on his way into the club. Now, Rangers legend Barry Ferguson, who obviously loves an opinion, loves to talk about the club, doesn't he? Big Barry loves to talk about the club, loves to give his opinions on stories. Always, whether we want them or not, Barry's willing to give them, isn't he? Well, anyway, he's been talking about these rumours surrounding Saudi Arabia, these rumours surrounding the fee that the Saudis are prepared to pay for James Tavernier. Now, according to the latest media report, it's not just Steven Gerrard and El Etifak or Etifak or whatever they're called, or who gives a... yes, I'm not going to swear on this channel, that want to sign James Tavernier. Now, obviously, this Saudi money is a big thing, isn't it, in football at this moment in time? The fact that the Saudis have got so much money, they're willing to splash it. It's caused the English Premier League to go into meltdown. And what I'd say is, well, fair enough. Guys, it's nice you're actually getting a taste of your own medicine for a change. You've kind of ruined European football by signing every player and his mother the past 5 to 10 years. Now you're getting a taste of your own medicine where someone's coming in and trumping all your bids. And people are, I was listening to David Edgar earlier on Club at 22 when he was being interviewed on there, and he was talking about the fact that he finds it incredulous that EPL officials and EPL insiders are saying, well, why is he going to Saudi Arabia? Well, for all the money, of course. You can answer the same question about why is a player joining Bournemouth for or Brighton, a club that has 11,000 fans. Well, because they're prepared to pay him X amount of money. That's why. If the money wasn't there, he wouldn't be going there. And it's the same for Saudi Arabia. Well, anyway, Barry Ferguson's been having his say on the Saudi money, on the Saudi situation, and obviously on James Tavernier. This is what Barry had to say. Of course, there is always the nagging question of who might be heading out of the club in the opposite direction. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about the speculation linking Steven Gerrard with a move for James Tavernier. This was something that Barry Ferguson wrote for the Daily Record. And certainly that seems to be, a rumour, ongoing rumour, doesn't it, that Steven Gerrard wants to be reunited with his former captain, and bring James Tavernier to Saudi. Now, Tav's always talked about the fact that he wants to end his career at Rangers, that he sees himself as a Rangers player. He's a Rangers Hall of Famer. And yeah, he is a player that, splits opinion, doesn't he, within Rangers fan base. There's Rangers fans who think he's amazing. There's other Rangers fans who don't rate him at all. And, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Personally, I like Tav. I rate Tav. I think he's a good player. And I would be sorry to see him go. But look, if the Saudis came in with a stupid bid for him with stupid money, they have got ridiculous amounts of money and very little sense, so it seems, in Saudi Arabia. Not generally in that godforsaken country, but I've written personally, a couple of times that I would never move. If I was good enough to be a Premier League footballer or a footballer, I'd much rather play, in England or in Italy or in Spain, where you've got, a chance to play for the European Champions League. You've got a chance of playing for prestigious, world famous clubs, and I would certainly never go to that country. That's as much as I'm going to say without getting into trouble. It's not a country I'd ever want to go to. But Tavernier, if they come in with a 10, 15, 20 million pound bid, then the club would be daft not to look at it. And, if they were prepared to offer Tav 100,000, 150,000 a week, for the sake of his family and future generations of his family, he'd be daft not to take it, wouldn't he? But, personally, like I said, I would never, ever want to go out there, not to that godforsaken hole. This is what else Barry Ferguson had to say in the Daily Record. He said, look, everyone will have their own thoughts on what's going on in Saudi Arabia at the moment. And I understand why a lot of people don't like it. But from a purely professional point of view, I can't blame any manager or player who ends up taking the oil money. The numbers we're talking about are frightening. It's a bottomless pit of cash. Offers are being made which are completely life-changing for the guys involved. It's a one-off chance to set your entire family up for the rest of their lives. And I think that's obviously something that these players are taking into account. You look at obviously Diego Jota, who went out there from Celtic, a 25 million pound transfer fee. People said, he's thrown his career away. Well, yeah, he may have thrown his career away, but he's not thrown his family's future away. And that's kind of, I think, why obviously he's gone out there. Now, I would hate to see Tav go. I'd hate to see Tav move out there. Don't want to see Tav go. But money talks. That's the problem. Money does talk at the end of the day. And I certainly hope that money doesn't talk in this thing and that Tav wants to stay with Rangers. Talking of James Tavernier today captained Rangers in a behind closed doors friendly game against Livingston. The Rangers tweeted out earlier this tweet. Rangers side made up of both first and B team players took on Livingston at the Rangers training centre in a training match this afternoon. The game finished 0-0, with Gers now heading off to an 8-day training camp, obviously, which is in Germany, which culminates in that game against Hoffenheim. Now, before anybody goes mad and overreacts and calls for Michael Beale's sacking or calls the players an absolute shower for drawing 0-0 with Livy, I think what you've got to remember is this is the first time they've played after a break. That it's two teams. Apparently, it looked like two teams trying to get their legs going after a summer break. It was not a great game by all accounts. And it doesn't really tell you as well who played, how many of the new signings played, if any of the new signings did in fact take part in that game. So I really do hope that no one overreacts. I don't think people will, but you never know. There's always one or two, isn't there, that will hideously overreact to that tweet that came out of the club. But interesting nonetheless that took place. Obviously now they're off to Germany for a training camp in Germany before that game with TSG Hoffenheim. Now obviously on the 18th of July, it's Alan McGregor's testimonial. And it was revealed today that McGregor's testimonial against Newcastle United is sold out. So 52,000 will be in attendance for Griggsy's testimonial. Absolutely fantastic that so many people will be turning out to pay tribute to such a fine goalkeeper and such a talented Rangers goalkeeper. What was also announced today was this. The testimonial committee are pleased to announce the three charities that will benefit from the game are the Rangers Charity Foundation, the Emmy Smiley, I think that says Charity Foundation, and the Prince's Trust. Fantastic to see all the money going to such a good cause and going to help out with young people in particular. That's absolutely superb of Alan McGregor and of the committee that are organising and running this game. Rangers are using it as a pre-season friendly. Obviously, Alan McGregor will play some part in this game. I know he is not playing any part next season, but this is a situation. It is his testimonial after all. So, but great news that the club, the fans are turning out in and record numbers for a friendly game to get behind the club and get behind Alan McGregor and celebrate his wonderful career. Okay, Cyriel Dessers obviously signed on the dotted line the other day. Now, Calvin Bassey has sent a 3-word Instagram message to new signing Cyriel Dessers after he officially completed his transfer to Rangers. It is for an undisclosed fee, thought to be somewhere in the region of £4.5 to £5 million. Michael Beale obviously was really happy with this and talked about how Cyriel had pushed hard to get the transfer and make it happen. Now, in his 3-word Instagram message, Calvin Bassey said, "Yes, my boy," to Cyriel Dessers, quite clearly that Calvin Bassey is happy that Dessers has made the move to Glasgow. Obviously Calvin Bassey, who was such a great success for us here, obviously made us an awful lot of money. He's very happy to see his countrymen making the move to the team where he had such great success. So fair enough, absolutely superb. Fair enough that Calvin is backing this transfer. Thank you, Calvin, obviously, for continuing to pay an interest in the club. I think that's something a lot of ex-players do, aren't they? The Rangers gets under your skin. It really does inspire you to stay in touch with the team. Well, we've got an interesting week ahead, haven't we? We've got obviously this weekend where I don't think a great deal is going to happen, other than obviously the Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast on Sunday, where we're doing our Q&A, guys. Come and join us for that. There was a community post went out earlier in the week asking for your questions. I think we've got about 4 questions at the moment. But if you have got a question, head over there, pop your question there, or come and join us in the live chat and give us your questions. Remember, this is your news and your questions, so please come and join us for that. Well, guys, I'm going to sign off now, but remember, always remember, I need you to do 2 things for me, just 2 things. Number 1, I need you to hit that like button, so please hit that like for me. It does help the channel. And number 2, I want you to remember something so important, guys. We are the people, and we always will be the people.